Listen carefully and receive this with clarity, confidence, and calm assurance. What was formed against you did not succeed. What was planned in secrecy, shaped by jealousy, manipulation, and ill intent, exceeded its assignment. It moved beyond what it was permitted to do. And the moment it crossed that unseen boundary, heaven intervened. While you were simply living your life, while you were praying quietly, working faithfully, or even resting without awareness, God was already intercepting what you never saw approaching. There are moments when protection does not feel dramatic, moments when divine intervention does not announce itself loudly, but that does not make it any less real. Recently, something shifted. Not because you fought harder, not because you argued louder, not because you defended yourself more aggressively, but because God decided the situation had gone far enough. There are battles you are never meant to win through confrontation. Some battles are not resolved through explanation, exposure, or retaliation. They are resolved through covenant. They are settled because of who you belong to, not because of how loudly you speak. This was one of those moments. You did not need to clear your name, justify your actions, or reveal the motives of anyone involved. God saw the plot forming long before it ever took shape. He heard the whispers that were never spoken in your presence. He recognized the motives behind the smiles, the intentions hidden beneath polite language, and the plans disguised as harmless conversations. He weighed every thought, every calculation, every move that was made in secret. What was meant to destabilize you did not catch God by surprise. In fact, it became the very signal for divine intervention. There is a threshold that opposition cannot cross. When harmful intent exceeds its limits, it activates judgment against itself. Evil often believes it is advancing when, in reality, it is exposing itself. It assumes momentum equals permission, but it misunderstands how authority works. There are seasons when you feel resistance without evidence. Doors hesitate instead of opening. Conversations feel strained. Progress slows without explanation. Confusion attempts to creep into places that were once clear. You sense that something is not right, yet you cannot identify a specific source. That sensation is not weakness. It is discernment. It is your spirit perceiving movement that your mind has not yet been allowed to define. Instead of reacting out of frustration or fear, you remained still. You trusted. You resisted the urge to respond impulsively. You chose peace over panic. That choice mattered more than you realize. Later, you began to understand how much God had blocked on your behalf without ever alarming you. That is how divine protection often works. God handles what you do not yet have the grace to process. He shields you from battles you were never assigned to fight. He confronts opposition in realms you were never meant to enter. This is not because you are incapable, but because your assignment requires preservation, not constant warfare. The power of this moment lies in its timing. Evil consistently assumes it has more time than it actually does. It mistakes God's patience for absence. It interprets silence as delay. But God is never late. He is precise. He moves with intention and accuracy. The moment the plan believed it had reached completion, God reversed it. What was designed to embarrass you ended up exposing the one who orchestrated it. What was meant to delay you accelerated your progress. What was intended to trap you snapped shut on the intention behind it instead. Heaven authorized a reversal. Confusion was lifted. Pressure lost its grip. Assignments were altered. Access was revoked. You may not have felt a sudden physical sensation. You may not have recognized an immediate emotional shift, but you will notice the evidence soon. Peace where anxiety once lingered. Clarity where confusion had tried to settle. Favor returning to places where resistance once stood. This is what happens when God steps in personally. He does not debate darkness. He does not negotiate with opposition. He displaces it. Your authority was activated because you did not panic. You did not retaliate. You did not compromise your character to defend your reputation. Silence, when guided by wisdom, becomes power. Trust becomes warfare. God fights most aggressively for those who refuse to step out of alignment simply to prove a point. While others were plotting, you were being covered. While intentions were forming against you, permission was being denied in the unseen realm. Now there is responsibility attached to this reversal. A reversal is not merely protection. It is positioning. God did not intervene only to rescue you. He intervened to advance you. This is not the moment to shrink back or question yourself. This is not the time to hesitate or replay old fears. What tried to stop you has already been dismantled. Lift your head. Reset your focus. Move forward with confidence. No weapon formed against you prospers, not because you are flawless, but because you are chosen and covered. There were things happening around you that you were never meant to see. That was not a lack of awareness. It was protection. God does not expose his chosen to every plot, every conversation, or every hidden motive. Awareness without assignment becomes a burden. While you were focused on surviving, growing, staying faithful, and doing what was in front of you, strategies were being formed behind closed doors. Intentions were whispered in places you never entered. Calculations were made by people who underestimated the covering on your life. But nothing can be concealed from a God who sees the end from the beginning. God recognized not only the actions, but the spirit behind them. What was meant to disrupt your peace, damage your credibility, or derail your progress was intercepted before it could manifest fully. Heaven does not respond the way humans do. God does not wait until damage is visible to act. He intervenes the moment a plan crosses a spiritual boundary. There is a limit to how far opposition can go, and that limit is not set by human power. It is set by divine authority. You may have sensed tension without evidence, resistance without explanation, or pressure without a clear source. That was not paranoia. That was discernment. Your spirit detected movement before your mind could define it. Instead of exposing you to fear, God covered you with peace so you could remain effective. Some battles are won precisely because you never engaged them. The outcome was decided without your involvement. You did not have to correct the narrative or defend your integrity. God handled it quietly, thoroughly, and decisively. Your life is under surveillance, not by opposition, but by heaven. The fact that you are still standing, still moving forward, still able to breathe freely and think clearly is proof that what was planned never had permission to succeed. There is a moment when opposition crosses a line it was never authorized to cross. That is when heaven responds. Evil may be bold, but it is never sovereign. It can plan, manipulate, and scheme, but it cannot override divine authority. What felt like delay was not defeat. It was restraint. God allowed the situation to reveal itself fully so that when he intervened, there would be no confusion about who was responsible for the reversal. What looked like God allowing things to go too far was actually God allowing opposition to trap itself in its own intent. That is why the shift felt sudden. One moment there was pressure, confusion, and resistance. The next there was relief, clarity, and calm. That sudden change was not coincidence. It was consequence. God does not need your awareness to act on your behalf. His covenant grants him authority to intervene when lines are crossed. What tried to rise above its position was brought back into order. No plan formed in darkness can outrun divine light. When evil goes too far, it seals its own outcome. God's intervention is not delayed justice. It is perfectly timed reversal. Something shifted in the unseen that you could not have orchestrated. It was not gradual. It was not emotional. It was authoritative. When God speaks into a situation, time compresses. What seemed stalled for weeks or months can be addressed in a moment. You may not have felt a dramatic sign, but you may notice calm settling over you, heaviness lifting without explanation, or clarity replacing confusion. These are the after effects of divine intervention. God does not announce his moves with noise. He announces them with results. Assignments were canceled. Intentions were exposed. Access was revoked. What was gaining momentum lost its footing instantly. No conversation, apology, or explanation could have produced this outcome. God reached where you could not reach, touched what you could not see, and dismantled what you could not confront. Now you are standing in the aftermath of a divine decision. The atmosphere has shifted, even if circumstances are still catching up. What has been decided in the spirit will manifest in the natural. The pressure you felt was the final resistance before release. The calm you feel now is confirmation that heaven has already ruled. You were not passive. You were positioned. Silence protected your alignment. Panic would have pulled you into a battle you were never assigned to fight. Every time you chose peace over reaction, you gave heaven room to intervene. Trust was not inactivity. It was agreement. Authority is revealed when you know what not to respond to. Now that the reversal has taken place, you cannot remain where you were. God intervened to reposition you. This is the moment to move forward without fear. Do not shrink your presence because of what almost happened. Do not dim your voice out of caution. Speak with intention. Declare alignment, favor, and forward movement. Do not replay the attack. Announce the outcome. Let this experience mature you, not harden you. You are learning that awareness comes from alignment, not anxiety. God handles what you do not see. This is the kind of security that allows you to live focused instead of guarded, confident instead of defensive, anchored instead of reactive. Peace is not ignorance. It is confidence in divine oversight. You are covered. You are anchored. You are cleared to move forward. God has already gone before you, and what unfolds next will reflect the confidence of someone who knows they are not walking alone.